So I know that like we've all been hit on by like creepy guys, especially anybody here who goes to crowd, or even if you're just Mexican in general. So like a couple months ago, I had like horrible luck with my car. Actually, I still have horrible luck, but so what happened was my car actually got stuck in front of the AT&T door, like right there, because I parked. It was cold, so I parked it there, and I was like, oh, well, when we get out of work, it'll be right there. So the steering wheel got locked, and I couldn't get in it anymore. So I called my parents, and my stepdad came and picked me up. So the next day, him and some of his like guys that he works with went up there to see if they could fix it. And so they got it fixed, and it was like a couple guys. Some were like, they were like in their 20s, like mid 20s. And then like 2 days later, like I get a text from some guy, and he's like, hi, que estás bonita, que this and that. And I was like, ¿quién eres? And he's like, I forgot what the hell his name was, but he was like, el que te arregló tu carro. And I was like, oh yeah, well thank you, you know. I was not trying to be rude. And he was like, oh, well, I just think you're pretty. And I was like, okay, thank you. Like, I really don't like to be rude to people. I'm not like those girls are like, no, like, you know. So I was like, oh, pues muchas gracias, you know. He doesn't speak English, so. And so, like, he was like, oh, pues te quiero conocer y la chingada. And I was like, well, I have a boyfriend. And he was like, terco, and like, would say stuff to me. And so, like, I would ignore it. And, like, I would get, like, good morning texts that were, like, a freaking page long. Que estás bonita, que te quiero conocer, que no sé qué. And then, like, throughout the day, he would, like, text me. And he'd be like, que te dedico esta canción. And then he'd be like, I was wondering if you would want to go to the movies. And I would just, like, not answer at this point. I would just, like, ignore it. And he would, like, say stuff. I mean, this probably went on for, like, 2 or 3 months. Until finally, one day my boyfriend was like, why don't you just block him? I didn't block him because it was, I mean, what girl doesn't like to be said things? And I wasn't paying attention, so I was like, oh my god, look at this guy. He's like, embobado and yo ni lo pelo. And so that was over, and that was probably over like last year. And it was just a couple, like I said, a couple months. Well, like a couple days ago, I forgot for what, but I called my stepdad at work, and he was like, Ramon says hi. And I was like, who the hell's Ramon? And then he was like, el que te arregló el Jeep. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember him. And like, people who know me, like I guess I'm a flirt. And he said something, and I was like, that he said that he was like, que estás bien bonita, no sé qué. And I was like, no, pues si me viera, ya me puse más buena entre las meses que pasaron. And I was just laughing. And then that motherfucking after, oh, this was like New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. And like, he like texted me, he's like, this is Ramon. I'm like, who's Ramon? Again, I don't fucking give a fuck, didn't remember his name. And then he told me, and then I was like, oh, hey. And then he was like, ¿Sí te acuerdas de mí? No te enfado. And like, I never texted back once I found out who he was. Then at fucking like midnight on New Year's, he like texted me and was like, I hope you start your New Year's out right and stuff. And I was just like, seriously, this motherfucker again? So I didn't block him, but like right now he's not blocked, but he hasn't bugged me. But I was just like, he would like be like, oh, que te dedico una canción y que te dedico otra, and I would just love to get to know you. But okay, like when it was over, I was like, oh, okay, finally this boy got it. But like months to continue, and he'd be like, oh, well, let me try again. I was like, that is some persistence, but that is not the key. Anyways, I mean, I bet this has happened to other people too, right? Like you meet a guy and like he just goes way over his head, like thinking that things are gonna happen that are not. Anyways, but that was my little stalker story.